Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. We got a show for you today. I got Creighton Bayer on the show today. It's going to be a bit of a doozy. This guy's a character. When after we recorded the podcast yesterday, we went out to N2 Wine Bar for an open mic there. And then he rode with me and this other character, Jesse, who you might hear on the show at some point. Pretty funny comic. We went to Ciro Dobrik's room. Legendary room, the 19th hole. Great place for comedy. With a great roadside attraction of South Florida, I would say. I love the 19th hole. If you're a comic and you're in South Florida, you haven't done that mic, go out and do that mic. Anyways, Creighton Bayer ended up passing out inside. I don't know if he fell asleep or passed out, but he was out cold for a little while in the inside the bar there for a while. Mike takes place outside, which is nice because Florida's nice out. Sometimes you want a mic that's outside, but he fell asleep inside in one of the chairs. I'm like, where is he? He's got to be getting on the mic soon. I went in. He's in there sleeping like a baby. Anyways, we got a show for you today with Creighton Bayer. Interesting conversation I had with him. And I would just like to say that the 1000 Comics Podcast is looking for sponsors. If you'd like to sponsor the show, send an email to matthewheath.saga@gmail.com. That's Matthew Heath, SAGA @gmail.com. Until then, I'm pretty much sponsoring myself, so listen to my comedy album, Matt Heath Class Clown Revisited, right here on this YouTube page. You can also buy now I have some excited news for you podcasters out there. Not only is Renaissance Men available, but if you go to Amazon.com, you type in Matt Heath in the search bar, Renaissance Men, Pawnbrokers, and Ms. Scrooge, two new books just to add it. So you could buy all three. You could have a whole Matt Heath collection of books now. We got Renaissance Men, we got Ms. Scrooge, and we have Pawnbrokers. And I would just like to say that the Pawnbrokers is dedicated to the old man. Which old man? It might be the old man from Pawn Stars. It might be my old man. It might be the old man that one of the characters is based on. I'm not gonna tell you which old man it's dedicated to. But read Pawnbrokers. It's an interesting book. All right, I think that pretty much wraps it up for the monologue today. Enjoy my conversation I had with Creighton Bayer. We are recording right now. This is the 1000 Comics Podcast. What were you saying? Something about pickle juice?
Right, pickle juice, because I just grabbed a beverage out of the fridge and I just noticed that there's...
And you noticed the pickles.
The pickles. Pickle juice, extreme athletes. Like the people that do CrossFit, they'll buy jars of pickles. Or half ripened pickles, whatever the case may be, and they'll use it for muscle relaxation. Apparently the salt's really good.
Do they eat the pickles?
They don't eat the pickles. I think the pickles are optional in this case. It's kind of like going to Chick-fil-A.
So if they're hungry, they eat the pickles, but really it's just mainly for the pickle juice. They drink the pickle juice?
I think outside of a couple of women I've dated, I've never seen anybody actually get satisfied off of a meal of just pickles. Like fried pickles, that's open to debate.
So some of those deep fried pickles are good. Yeah.
Especially if you go to Hooters.
Good appetizer.
Hooters actually has decent fried pickles and crab legs. If you stick to a paleo diet, sorry, that was me cracking open a beverage.
That's okay. That's fine.
Anyways, No, yeah, no. The nice thing about pickle juice is that it's got a lot of health benefits, but it's also got a lot of interesting family history for me because my grandparents, like, he's got, like, my opa has, I have an opa and an oma, first of all.
This is my guest, Creighton Bayer, by the way.
Hello, guys.
My goodness. He's just a whirlwind of conversation. This is why I wanted to, this guy, how long you been doing comedy, Creighton?
2 months.
2 months. See, he's only been doing it 2 months, but I had to have him on the show just because he's got so much information and delivers it in a comedic way. I needed to have him on the show.
I can dig that. Hi, guys. I'm Creighton. It's nice to meet you all. Anyone that's listening, this is your captain speaking. No, I haven't been on a plane in like 3 years. I don't really feel the need to because I've been doing a lot of driving recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buses
Buses are underrated.
Where's the furthest you've ever flew?
That would be Russia.
Russia.
Yeah.
That's pretty far.
Russia's pretty. I want to go. You know where I want to go? Australia.
How many hours of a flight is it to Russia though?
15.
15
hours.
So it's usually like overnight, right? And then you sleep on the plane.
Sleep on the plane. Yeah.
Sleep on the plane. They give you a blanket and everything.
Give me a blanket. Get a meal. You know what I want? I'm hitting up Australia next year. That's on the bucket list. I'm crossing that off, and that's like a 22-hour flight. So that one's a whole day one.
What do you plan on doing in Australia?
Honestly, I just kind of want to go to check out the outback, and apparently kangaroos are like raccoons there, so there's an abundance of them, and I've had a childhood obsession with kangaroos. And I want to just give some credit to Jerry Bruckheimer for this, but Kangaroo Jack was actually an okay movie, in my opinion.
You know, it was something I enjoyed. Kangaroo Jack.
You see what I'm saying?
Kangaroo Jack.
Either you liked it or you didn't like it. I liked it, man. I kind of want to go check it out, and it's also. Australia is basically.
No, I think the people that didn't like it were just they felt like they were gypped by the preview because the kangaroo talks in the preview, and they're like, I thought I was getting a talking kangaroo with this movie. That's just a dream.
There's also no explanation of that at all at any point in time. They're just like, hey guys, by the way, the kangaroo doesn't talk actually, but thanks for your money. No, the.
It's all right. It's still an all right movie. We don't need a talking kangaroo throughout a whole movie, you know?
I still remember the other day when I made you bust the gut laughing when I said Bob's Burgers is a perfectly acceptable name for SpongeBob SquarePants as well, and you kind of stopped walking for a second. That broke my mind for a minute there. For a second. You're just like, God, the internet's a wonderful thing.
Bob's Burgers was the name for SpongeBob SquarePants. I think Bob's Burgers probably wouldn't exist.
That's fair. It's fair, right? It's fair game. Completely and totally. Like, I'm kind of impressed that no one's gone and said, hey, by the way. I mean, you can get mad if you will, but stats don't lie. It's doing better than Family Guy right now. That's insane because it wasn't. When I first saw it, I was like, this is something dumb that's going to be on for like a season. Like, you remember Greg the Bunny? Like, way back in the day on Fox.
Yeah, Greg the Bunny.
Yeah.
You thought it was going to be like, it's just going to be.
Fox hit it with Family Guy, they were struggling like a kid on the short bus, man.
To be fair, difficult. A show with puppets never really lasts. Like, there's no longevity with puppet shows, man.
It's not true. The Muppets.
Yeah, but the Muppets is its own world. Like, Jim Henson, and you know what? You have to create an entire world of puppets for you to have movies or TV shows or anything like that. Let me ask you this.
Have you seen The Dark Crystal?
No.
All right, this is a big Jim Henson movie from back in the 80s, right? And it didn't do very well, and they're making a sequel.
Okay.
And it's very similar to, like, if you ever see Labyrinth with Bowie and Jennifer Connelly way, way back in the day, it's he plays the Goblin King. It's like his most famous...
Right.
I mean, it's David Bowie, man. I mean, he could do whatever the hell he wanted to do, and everybody would be fine with it. Because a lot of the hairstyles were interesting. I miss him. I miss him and I miss Prince, but I mainly miss, more than anybody else out of the entire group, for my money, and the funniest motherfucker out there was Robin Williams. That was kind of a big blow.
I agree. Back to puppet movies, man. You know, you ever see the one Jim Henson movie that he made that didn't have puppets? The Cube? No. Jim Henson's The Cube?
No.
That was a good movie.
Did you ever see After Oz? What's the Oz sequel?
Oh,
Oz 2?
The one with James Franco?
No, not Oz the Great and Powerful. This was like I think it was called After Oz or something. It came out in the
Talking
80s.
About The Wiz with
Also,
Michael Jackson.
There's a surprising amount of movies that have been made about the Wonderful Land of Oz, but I think it's a scary ass movie too. Like I remember seeing it as a kid, it freaked the hell out of me. I had a weird childhood because I grew up on like all the underrated Disney kid movies. So speaking of Muppets, like I love the Muppets, like specifically Muppet Treasure Island. I think is definitely in the top 10.
I gotta say though, Oz is a particularly deep movie, especially to me, where I like music about the Wizard of Oz. Like, you ever listen to Tin Man by America?
Yes,
that's a great song.
That's a good one. I'll tell you, my favorite was always the lion. Always Duck the Lion. Lion was always my favorite character, just because he was scared of his own shadow. But the guy who played him in the original just nailed it. Did you hear? Do you do eBay at all? You ever get on eBay? You ever look at stuff that's up for sale on eBay?
Yeah, I like eBay.
There was an auction, this was like 3 years ago, for the original Cowardly Lion suit from The Wizard of Oz. And like somebody bought it like 30 years ago for like $5,000, and then like it sold at auction for like, I think it was like $120,000. So
$120,000.
It's at least over six figures. I remember
for the Cowardly Lion suit.
For the Cowardly Lion suit.
Who would want to own that, man? I'd be creeped out if that was in my house.
What if you just like...
Wouldn't you be creeped out if it was
hammered drunk one night and you come home and you're just like looking through your closet for something and they're just, holy shit.
Honestly, if I had it though, I'd probably like...
Would you use it as
I'd wait until there was like no one else in the house. I would put it on and I would get wasted and yell at myself in the mirror. That's what I would do if I owned the Cowardly Lion.
It's like a really encouraging... self-reflection time. What are you doing? I'm criticizing myself.
This is real Cowardly Lion suit. It's the real one from the movie.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you put on whiskers?
I paid $120,000 for it. Alright? So we're going to get some good use out of this Cowardly Lion suit. And I wouldn't even be... it's not like I'd be podcasting with it. I would just be looking in the mirror and doing it.
Just sitting around, just having a moment all by yourself.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird outfits, I recently lost this, but a friend of mine, my best friend in the whole wide world, this was like 2 years for Christmas. 2 years ago for Christmas, I was like, I got you something. He was like, I got you something. And I was like, sweet. And I got him a giraffe onesie because it's his favorite animal.
Right.
He got me an elephant onesie because it's my favorite animal. And I felt conflicted because my mom also got me a shark onesie because I'm a grown-ass man. It's important to keep that in mind while I tell you about my onesies. They're up north with my folks. But
No, please go on.
My mom got me a shark one that looks like it's eating you. So like when you put the hood up, you look like you're being eaten by a shark.
Holy Lord!
I thought...
You know, I would totally dig hanging out with a dude wearing one of those. Yeah. Because here's the thing: you ever saw the SNL skit with I don't know, it was like I don't know if it was Jaws per se, but it was like a shark like knocking on the door, and be like telegram. And they open the door and be like, it'd be like the Jaws shark eating them.
My favorite bits were always the Harry Carey bits.
Yeah,
just because of...
No, I'm talking about this is like 70s SNL. You gotta go back and watch 70s SNL to get that, because they had real avant-garde back then. Yeah, no, they didn't just like make fun of celebrities, which is what I think they do now. You know,
they kind of what they did. I remember the Killer Bees. The Killer Bees is always my favorite bit with Belushi, where they just kind of walked around in the bee suits.
Right.
That was always one of my favorites.
You know, that's the one he supposedly hated doing the most, I think.
I think he did.
Did you notice the Belushi book that I got sitting over here? It's like my Belushi coffee table book. It's a little beat up because I had a dog once that kind of chewed up the cover. Right. So it's not really my coffee table book anymore. But just
it's your side table book
that's
now.
Sitting around, because it's more of a coffee table book because it's like mostly pictures, you know.
Speaking of coffee, how do you take your coffee?
How do I take my coffee?
How do you take your coffee?
How do I take it? I would I usually drink it black. If I'm working, it's just black.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're at your leisure, you have it a little more. You know, throw some mocha in there, some shit. I don't know. You know,
throw the mocha in there.
Yeah.
I often take it by paying for it, and then I do 2 sugars. And if I'm being real expensive, I'll get like the tiniest amount of chocolate milk instead of regular creamer. It sounds weird, but it tastes delicious. Actually, so that's a little inside trick for anybody that has a sweet tooth. Because I was a fat kid growing up, and I still am. In the best way possible. Because
as fat kids become fat adults.
No.
And you buy a Belushi book.
The upside to it is I know how to eat, number one, and number two, that coffee is good for you. It helps you burn fat. So if you add a little bit of fat to it, you're not really hurting anybody. I mean, it's one thing to add milk to it. It's another thing to add the creamer stuff to it because that stuff causes cancer. I hope people know that there's stuff out there that they've got on most of your grocery store. If you don't pick something that's organic,
we're getting cancer probably from so many things. I think coffee creamer is really the last of our worries. You know what I mean?
You ever use non-dairy coffee creamer? Stuff's flammable. It's like Mountain Dew. There's antifreeze in Mountain Dew, but I'm not going to stop drinking Mountain Dew because it's delicious. But it is a little upsetting to the rest of us as far as finding out that antifreeze. All right, we got off track.
We did. I don't think we were ever really on a track, but it's okay. I think this is kind of what podcasters want to hear. They want to hear rambling conversations that just take them into the podcast land. That's what it's all about.
All righty. I didn't know where we were going as far as that one was
No.
We started off with Muppet movies, and then we ended up.
Oh, you've been an incredible guest so far. All right, Creighton, relax.
Thanks, Matt.
You're wearing a Power Rangers t-shirt right now.
I am. I'm like I said, I'm a grown-ass man. It's important to mention that for everyone that's listening.
Tell me a little bit about that. Why a Power Rangers shirt?
It was $4.
It was at Walmart?
At Walmart.
Walmart. Yeah, something I actually have a Spider-Man t-shirt that I wear because it's Walmart, man.
I'll tell you, whenever I'm
some of the graphic t-shirts are cheaper than regular plain tees.
Oh yeah. The upside to it is that whenever I feel like treating myself, I just go to Target.
You go to Target?
Shop at Walmart usually, but if I'm feeling fancy and it's payday, I'll just
treating yourself to clothing.
Oh yeah.
I think you should start shopping at Express for Men. Maybe get a couple blazers.
I'm simple, man. I'm usually blue jeans and a t-shirt, but if I have to, I'll get a nice polo.
I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt right now, but if I'm treating myself to clothing.
When I say that, you have to understand, I'm not only am I a grown-ass man, I'm also a comfortable grown-ass man where I will, get the expensive sweatpants. That's what I mean by treat myself.
But there's days like that out there, right, Creighton, where you're just today I'm just going to go out and get socks. I need more socks. I'm going to throw out this old fleet of socks I have.
Reasonably
it's
expensive socks.
If my socks were an army movie, it'd be a very low budget and silly army movie.
The Dirty Dozen?
It wouldn't be it would definitely not be Saving Private Ryan.
I like how that's the benchmark that we still use, because I remember when that movie came out, my parents were like, you can't watch this, and 3 months later, me and my older brother were watching it, and it's just I was 9 at the time. That affects you, believe it or not, because the upside of that is I watched, do you remember this movie called Hamburger Hill? Dylan McDermott's in it from The Practice,
right,
and all that good stuff, but this is way, way super young. Don Cheadle's in it. It's just it's a Vietnam movie, but it's about the soldiers that keep trying to take this hill.
Right.
Hill 1068 or something like that, in Languedoc Province or something. I don't remember the exact details, but it's a pretty good movie. And I just remember the fact that it was really violent for 7-year-olds. However, this is around the same time. This is the same grandfather. This is what I love about grandfathers.
What movie do you think scarred you the most growing up?
Braveheart.
Seriously? You think Braveheart scarred you the most?
Braveheart ingrained itself in my memory with how bad the Scottish accent was.
I need to say something real quick to all you podcasters out there that might be educators. If you're a history teacher and you're showing Braveheart, it is scarring these children. Just listen to Creighton, who's now a grown man that wears a Power Rangers t-shirt. No, but seriously, bro.
All right, so the only reason why is because there's a scene in that movie that just messes with you if you haven't seen it before. And I saw this at a very tender age. I was 8 or 9 at the time when I saw it. There's a scene where he throws And spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you that haven't seen Braveheart at this point in time, he throws the gay lover out the window, and there's no explanation behind. He just throws the dude, and they've got him falling through the air, and he just lands splat. And there's also the other one is when because at the end of the movie they cut his balls off. I didn't realize that was the.
You know, all I can think of in Braveheart is like the insanely hyper patriotic scene where he's just throwing the flag through the guy's chest. That's the only part I
Braveheart or The Patriot? Which one are you thinking about? You've got your Gibsons mixed up.
I do have my Gibsons mixed up. Oh man, Braveheart is a completely different movie. You're right. Braveheart's he's got the face painted, all that.
Yes, he got really intense in that one.
No, I think I watched both of them in the same history class.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Mel Gibson High.
He's your education teacher. You guys watch Apocalypto for your final?
Yep.
God.
Mel Gibson High. He was good at Hamlet, too. The English teachers loved Mel Gibson, too.
Did you see Hamlet?
Voted sexiest man alive at one point.
The first sexiest man alive, officially. According to People magazine.
Who knows? Who do you think the first sexiest man alive was?
It was him.
You really think it was Mel Gibson? Come on.
I bet you.
People magazine had to have somebody before that.
Nickel.
You don't think George Clooney was sexiest man alive before Gibson?
Gibson wasn't. This was back in like the 80s, dude. Like this is before Clooney was. Because Clooney's rise happened right around 94 when he was on ER.
Yeah.
Because before that he was kind of like. Think Tom Hanks, because Tom Hanks was very similar with his rise to stardom especially after Bachelor Party. That movie is. Still to this day, speaking of funny movies, that one's
who do you think sexiest man alive now, besides Matt Heath and Creighton Bayer?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
come on, Hugh Jackman's getting a little old now.
See, that's the thing about it's about who ages well. Because like I'm a huge fan of Jennifer Aniston.
These broads don't want to get on.
I'm a huge fan of Jennifer.
Get on
Aniston.
old.
And like everyone gives me, a bunch of crud for it. And it's just like...
He is literally playing old Wolverine now.
I know.
Come on!
Okay, so secondary entry to that question would have to be Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is supposedly the next... I think it's a Wolverine thing, man. It might be that. Because it's my favorite comic book character, so that might have something to do with it. Outside of Deadpool, by the way.
Yeah.
Important to mention that. My top three are Wolverine, Deadpool, and Batman.
I don't know. I'm thinking... Bradley Cooper, because I kind of like identify with his character a little bit, but I know I look fucking nothing like him, you know.
Are you saying Rocket Raccoon style, like that?
No. I'm saying like in the movie Silver Lining Playbook, because he's this teacher and he got his heart broken, so he kind of loses his mind a little bit.
Everyone loses their mind after they get their heart broken. But like him especially.
But he loses his job teaching when he gets his heart broken though. You know what I mean? It was like
he goes way out of left field.
You kind of see this guy's downfall and like he moves back in with his parents and De Niro's his father. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing, kid? Like you can't be having your heart broken all the time like this, you know."
I
got a mole and stuff.
The De Niro impression. He's just such an editor. Like I think, like hanging out with him probably at this point in time because he's said, he's done. I hate Donald Trump. I want to punch him in the face. I hate Donald. Da 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 da.
Right.
And at this point in time, I think we've reached zenith. Robert De Niro wants to punch Donald Trump in the face, like.
Which is acceptable because the man's the Godfather. He can feel however he wants about anybody. You know what I mean?
Everyone's just like, oh, I don't like him, or he's like, no, you're still gonna watch Goodfellas. Like, give it up, man. You know, like it's one of the things.
Godfather Part 2. Come on.
He actually I think the thing about him that I love is because I'm a huge fan of his earlier work, like Taxi Driver and stuff on that lines.
Well, I think you identify with his character in that movie, don't you, a little bit? Because you and me both are delivery drivers.
That's part
and
of it.
I think when you work a job like that for that long, and then you watch a movie like Taxi Driver, and the guy kind of goes through this whole like transformation just because he's alone driving all day.
Pretty much, you're left with your thoughts at all times.
Yeah, and that was a good movie. But I think anybody can identify with Taxi Driver. That's why I like Scorsese. Forget about it.
Scorsese, but early back in the day too. Like, it's one of those things where. Sorry, I was asked about what our time was for later on this evening. Just wanted to message. I think that the good thing about Robert De Niro and Scorsese especially is because Scorsese is responsible for bringing De Niro and New York to life. And then Leonardo DiCaprio is famous for taking the torch from De Niro.
I heard John C. Reilly say something interesting in an interview where he said Scorsese is just kind of like mystified by actors. And I think that's got to be true because it's like Scorsese is like a guy who makes movies. He's legendary for making movies. And he gets to pick whoever he wants in those movies because he's allowed to be mystified by whoever he wants.
Do you hear about what Jonah
You know what I mean?
Do you hear about what Jonah Hill did for Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
He took a pay cut to work with Scorsese because it was that important to him. Because Jonah Hill, the thing that I love what happened with him, by the way, because I always thought that he was just going to be the awkward kid from the 40-year-old.
I would work for Scorsese for $8 and a Phillips head screwdriver because I only have a flathead. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck gives the amount? You know how much money you'll be worth after you've worked for Scorsese?
Good
you know
example.
What I mean?
Really good example of that.
It's such a silly thought. Like, I would. Make a movies for Scorsese for any amount of money. If you're listening out there, Scorsese, just have me in one of your movies, please.
Put me in, man.
It's one of my dreams.
No, because the thing about that is Margot Robbie was she was kind of on an upswing because she was in this other movie called About Time the same year as Wolf of Wall Street came out, and I just remember her being the really really hot chick from that movie that I didn't know anything about. And then Wolf of Wall Street came out, and she actually was an actress at this point. Right. She's the best part of that movie, man. You can just tell she's having the most fun. I think as far as anybody on the entire outside of Leonardo DiCaprio.
When it comes to Scorsese, I've been on a Departed kick lately, man.
That's a good one.
I could watch that movie, once every few weeks. I'll pop it in, and it's still. It holds up, no matter how many times I watch it for some reason.
Did you ever see The King of Comedy?
No, I've never actually seen that movie. And that's, I've heard of that movie. Yeah. And who does he play in that movie?
I want to say Lewis something. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I saw that in my formative years as far as wanting to do comedy and be a comic.
Well, there's another movie with Dustin Hoffman, and he plays Lenny Bruce, and I've never seen that movie either.
I actually had a very interesting amount of time devoted to watching Robert Redford movies, but the ones he's directed, not the ones he stars in, because he's actually a river runs through it. They're a conspirator, which is about the trial of all of the assassins associated with John Wilkes Booth for the assassination of Lincoln, and then there's Parkland, which was about Kennedy getting shot. So the guy has a thing for presidential assassinations, obviously, but also heartwarming movies featuring Brad Pitt as a bad gangster, gambler,
right?
Whatever. I still think. All right, so what, in your opinion, since you bought the Spider-Man shirt, which Spider-Man movie, including Maguire, is your preferred Spider-Man movie?
All right, let's see, because I got to put some thought into this because Spider-Man's really the only franchise in I feel like we're roughly the same age, right? How old are you?
27.
27. I'm 26.
Yeah.
And the thing I think about the Spider-Man movies because we have the original as kids. We grew up. We got the original one.
Yeah.
And then we got sequels to the original one. Then we got the remake, and then we got another remake. So it's like, I don't know. I enjoyed the first one, but the one with Michael Keaton as the
Homecoming?
as the Vulcan.
Vulture?
What did I say? Vulcan? Actually, they did make a Spider-Man movie where Michael Keaton
is the Vulcan.
Played a Vulcan? Now that would be a Spider-Man movie. Alright? Alright. Listen out there, people. I think they should make a movie with Michael Keaton. Fuck it. Let's just make a movie. Spider-Man doesn't even have to be in it. Just Michael Keaton as a Vulcan.
Oh my god. Just laughing so hard. Because people are still pushing for the Beetlejuice sequel at this point in time. And Tim Burton's making Dumbo, by the way. Tim Burton made the newest version of the live-action Disney movie for Dumbo.
I just listened to Michael Keaton say something interesting in an interview about Beetlejuice and how him and Tim Burton discussed he would make Beetlejuice. And he's... Tim Burton is so vague in description of what he wanted, but like Michael Keaton is just like so eager to work with him that he's going along with it, and he's like, I just want a character that's it's like he existed in all time, you know. There's no actual time that he lived in. He's existed forever.
Dimensional being.
And then he's like. He goes home and thinks about it, and then he comes back to him. And he's like, "I still like don't know what you want," and he just keeps like giving it almost like I don't know, because that I would say that is the most wildly creative thing Tim Burton ever really did, because everything else he made, it just seems to be just something else where he took the idea and ran with it. Because he made the Batman movies, he made the. His Charlie. I didn't think any of his remakes of anything were necessarily good.
Edward Scissorhands is an original, but it's also
Edward Scissorhands. I would say, and his animated stuff.
And Nightmare Before Christmas is also.
I don't know. I took a girl to see Corpse Bride. You know, when I was younger.
Were you ever dragged,
some of my younger days?
Be honest now. Were you ever dragged any of the Twilight movies?
No.
See, I
was lucky enough to have a great enough sense of self in high school. Be like, no woman suckered me into seeing any of that.
I dodged that bullet.
You know what I mean?
I dodged that bullet, and I still have to up to this day. And like, also, something that most people our age group don't realize that we have in common is most of our first set of boobs are everyone's same set of boobs. Kate Winslet's boobs in Titanic.
Wow, you know something? You're right about that. The first time I ever saw a pair of breasts was the movie Titanic.
Fair enough, fair game, right? It could be worse. They're an all right set of tits, man. It's okay. This could have gone one or two ways. It's all right though, and I'm saying that about Oscar winner Kate Winslet, by the way. So, hey, Kate, if you're listening, I'm an actor as well. So,
how do you think she feels about it? Being like the only, like being a woman where a whole generation those were the first boobs they ever saw.
I think that's.
Do you think she ever like sits at a bar with Janet Jackson and they just get drunk together? Because she had to be the first boob of an entire generation.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because everybody watches the Super Bowl.
Yeah, everybody does.
You're watching. You're watching the whole time, from beginning to middle to end.
What I love about that entire exchange, by the way, is that Justin Timberlake went on to make kids movies. Meanwhile, Janet Jackson is just kind of fending for herself at this point in time, especially after, both her brother and her dad are dead at this point in time. So it's kind of like I think she's married and happy with kids. I'm not too certain, but it's just like. She hasn't really done anything.
Would you say, I would say, I know this was a while ago, so it doesn't really matter. But to defend Janet Jackson, when your brother was a legend.
It's true.
He was a living legend. How could you not show your boob during the Super Bowl? How could you not? How could you not? You know what I mean?
You're asking all the tough questions right now. I think for me, the problem that I had with that entire thing was the response to it was that everyone kind of had this. First of all, everyone referred to them from now on as wardrobe malfunctions, which I thought was really funny because this was right around the same time that Desperate Housewives came out.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, should have ended after one season. It's kind of like Grey's Anatomy, same thing. I'm saying something controversial, by the way, but it's just how I feel. Medical shows on TV, specifically all of these Chicago Med, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire. Somebody at NBC is raking in the money, all right? I've been to Chicago. It's a nice enough city. It's a big city. I know we're tired of New York, but can we, cool it with all the Chicago shows, please? Seriously?
Cool it with the Chicago.
There's
Why? Why are you...
5 of them.
Why are you...
They've got their own cornerstone of the market of, the nighttime...
Do you think more shows need to take place in, Miami? Or what are you so concerned about?
I think I should petition right now for this, but I think they need to bring Miami Vice back, but, Don Johnson.
Here's why I say Chicago TV shows stay. Because so many actors come up through Chicago.
That's true.
That they need... There needs to be a medium for it. There needs to be a whole world. There needs to be a whole...
Chicago medium.
Not just that. Just like a Chicago fantasy land. Kind of like New York has. But Chicago... When you see it in movies and TV, don't you feel like it's less romanticized like New York is, but it's kind of just either nitty gritty or it's action packed all the way.
I'll tell you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'll tell you actually coming up with that because I've been to one of my favorite cities I've ever been to. 2 of my favorite cities. San Antonio is probably worth a trip if you ever get the chance, and also Pittsburgh. Surprisingly, most people don't expect that, but if you go to Pittsburgh, especially during the summer, there's enough shows and a decent enough baseball team playing in the area that you're gonna have a decent time. Depending on the weekend that you go, because this was 4 years ago. I went to a 4th of July concert. Speaking of the fact that it's the 4th of July this week, and I went to a baseball game and I saw a fireworks display, and I ate apple pie with ice cream. How much more American could you get here? Right? And a funnel cake, too. I had a funnel cake.
And a funnel cake,
and a funnel cake, bro. All right?
This man had a funnel cake.
Whenever I have a funnel cake, I just reach full relaxation mode. It's kind of like whenever I go to an amusement park, specifically a water park. What I'll do is I'll get a beer and a funnel cake, and I'll get on the lazy river.
Right.
And if you need me, come get me. Otherwise, that's where I'll be. Because I'm not trying. I'm just going to float around and work in my tab. That's all I'm doing. I'm not...
For the 4th of July?
No. 4th of July, I'm working.
We're getting pretty close to the 4th of July, folks. And I'll be working, too. I'll be working the door at the former Funky Buddha Lounge and now the Robot Brewing Company.
I still think it's the weirdest name change I've ever heard. It's like Caitlyn Jenner after Bruce Jenner. Sorry, that's my 2 cents. In the best way possible, by the way, because that was just what happened. People get different names for different things.
What, you think I'm upset about it?
I don't know.
I was plugging it. I was giving them a little advertisement.
What is going on this Wednesday?
I want people to know where I do stand-up. So a lot of people listen to this
That's true.
podcast.
Yeah.
They should know where to come out and see me.
Yeah. Well, we do. There's. I'm also at the Robot Brewing Company in Quixotic.
It's quixotic.
Quixotic?
Meaning abnormal, I think.
It certainly is. I love
just the word.
I love
the word.
I love the crowd there, though. There's always a good crowd.
What it is.
There's a good energy in that room. I love that room. I love Smoke In. Smoke In's a lot of fun. Speaking of spots that we do stand up in, because I'm also a comic and I also occasionally go to a mic or two.
You don't need to pronounce that you're a comic. There's gonna be a little cartoon of you and everything.
There's gonna be a cartoon of me.
Yeah. Wow. You know very little about this program. The listeners are going to be like, come on, the damn 11th, 12th episode, and this guy he doesn't even know the damn thing.
I feel so important right now. I'm so unprepared.
It's all good. It's all good.
It could be worse. It's the thing about me that I always find interesting is that I'm just able to just go good, and I get myself out of trouble somehow, some way. I don't know how, but I know a way. Yep, so the upside to...
Don't worry about it. You've been a very good guest so far.
Yeah?
You've driven most of the conversation. You don't need to rely on me for the questions, and I dig that.
Thank you for saying dig that, by the way. I still say dig that, and I feel like I'm doing a weird homage to like 70s detective shows.
No,
when I say that because I'll say that. Okay, so when I say I dig that, I'll say it usually to a girl like, "Hey, I dig that about you." Like if she's an artist and she does a lot of painting or like
I say things like I dig that, or that's far out, or if you say things like that, it doesn't mean
I often say feeling groovy.
I don't think the 70s owns these phrases. It's you have to live the life of like an artist, like Robert Crumb, or who's the guy from American Graffiti, or not Graffiti, American Paul Giamatti played him in the movie.
Yeah.
No, Paul Giamatti played this guy in the movie. He was an artist. What was his name?
I just remember my favorite movie with Paul Giamatti is Sideways.
You like that one?
I like that one. I
saw Sideways in theaters when I was fairly young. Like, I saw it when I was a teenager, and I went with a buddy of mine. And it's like, Wedding Crashers had just come out that summer, so it was like, I didn't realize I didn't realize that like movies could be like avant-garde like that, and like
now,
I was like, I'm just like hooking up with this fat chick. Like I was like, movies can be like this.
Let me ask you this:
that's amazing.
You're a movie buff like I am, so like in your opinion, what was for the time you've been alive, and you can include movies from when you're young and you don't remember this, but you can go back and recall them because, for example, I was not old enough to see Jurassic Park, but it was the big movie of the summer, like when I was very young. So a couple years down the line, I got to see that. And finally, when I got to see that, like everybody was in our age group. Everyone was into dinosaurs all of a sudden. Like everybody was into dinosaurs.
Yeah,
if you remember. And then that movie We're Back came out. And Steven Spielberg produced that, by the way. It's important to mention that because that was his kid-friendly version of let's get kids into dinosaurs. And then see if we can make some future fans of Jurassic Park here.
I want to let this be known on this podcast. You have to hear this. I dated a girl for 2 years that, honest to God, did not believe that dinosaurs existed.
Do you know any flat earthers?
I don't know any. No, I don't know any personally. I mean, I've read about it on the internet, and I think it's all BS. Like, how could the Earth be flat?
The interesting thing about the world of that type of thought is that there's been enough photographic evidence at this point in time, and it's also we've gone to the moon, guys. We've seen this stuff from outer space. We know what the planet looks like.
We broke the stratosphere.
Yes, we've been to space. And, by the way, speaking of space, this whole wonderful idea for a Space Force.
What is your take on this, though? This girl did not believe that dinosaurs existed.
I can't argue with people of that stupidity. Like, it's not worth it to me. Like, I just would have to go, okay, let's just stop talking, right? I can't deal with it, man. It's kind of like for me, I'll put up with a certain amount of dumb for whoever I date, but like if there's
she probably knows now.
I think she's figured it out.
I think you have to
she's
agree
been to a
with
museum.
At some point. You know something though? I think also are you from Florida originally?
No.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Chattahoochee County, Georgia.
You're from Georgia,
and then we moved to West Point, New York.
But you've fairly seen lizards outside of yourself, fairly often, right?
The best explanation for a young lady that doesn't believe in dinosaurs is just take her to look at an alligator.
Listen, because I'm from Connecticut, and there's there's not really any lizards anywhere. It's just too cold in the wintertime. But you can go to the zoo, see an alligator, yeah, sure, but. Yeah, I mean, you have to have known that there was giant,
big animals, big scary animals.
Do you think they really? Do you think they froze to death, or do you think it was a meteorite? What?
I think what it was. I think that there was an impact of a sizable mass that projected dust into the atmosphere and blocked the sun, and that froze the planet, which led to the Ice Age, which led to most of mankind coming out.
What, the sun got blocked like the way Mr. Burns did on The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't get that deep into The Simpsons.
No, I didn't. I
Did
was sheltered.
Did you see that episode?
I was
though,
sheltered
Mr.
from
Burns
The Simpsons as a kid.
blocked The Simpsons?
I was sheltered from The Simpsons as a kid. I was also sheltered from South Park.
Boy.
I started watching those as a grown-up, and I gotta say, South Park definitely loses me after like season 7.
South Park just lost me recently, and here's why. Because they've done this thing where they've like added these arcs to the seasons, and I'm like, it's just such lazy writing. Like, I like these one-shot episodes. It's a story. It's about something. You know, you're trying to raise awareness of, even if it's like a stupid thing, you're still trying to like raise my awareness of it. You know what I mean?
Mental consciousness of the public. Hey guys, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. Type deal.
You know, because if you're gonna do that for seasons, like an entire season of a show,
right.
Like back when the animation wasn't that good, I actually enjoyed watching it when the animation's not that good.
I didn't finish my question though. I was going to ask you, what in your opinion, out of all the years that you've been alive, was the best summer of movies that you've been around for?
Best summer of movies.
Speaking of it being summertime and July and all that good stuff.
Maybe it might have been when the Simpsons movie came out. Maybe it was when one of the Star Wars movies came. I have no idea. I really couldn't. I don't recollect things like that, man.
I have a photographic memory, so this is why I do stuff like this.
Oh, you're like Mary Lou Henner on Taxi.
Sure.
She's got a photo. I've been watching a lot of Taxi lately, folks.
Whatever you say, man. I'd like to say for my money, the best one was 2008 because Iron Man came out.
Okay, Iron Man, which is, I think, personally, one of my favorite, one of the best Marvel movies.
The Dark Knight came out same summer,
and
Tropic Thunder.
If you're listening out there, I haven't seen Black Panther yet, but I think you should go see it because, it's part of the movement. Go see Black Panther. But Iron Man. But let's get back to Iron Man real quick, because Jon Favreau, definitely one of my heroes and creative director.
He killed it, but
a very creative director and handles every project the right way.
I like how you just
I mean?
I like how you just kind of accepted the fact that I said The Dark Knight too, and you're just kind of like, yeah, but that's a masterpiece. We're not even going to talk about that. Just went back to Iron Man.
Wait, we can talk about The Dark Knight for a little bit too.
I think Dark Knight, for my money, since that movie came out, there's only been 2 movies that I've been as excited for as The Dark Knight. John Wick 2, which was...
Here's what it is, man. With the Dark Knight, that movie coming out, being that my last name is Heath,
right?
Women were just attracted to me for all these weird reasons, just because they think Heath Ledger is hot, man. Just by virtue of having the same name.
You gotta use that to your advantage.
I think I must have watched that movie 8 times in theaters, man.
I definitely saw it at least 4. And then it came out, and this was back in the day when we all had iPod Nanos. Not Touches, but iPod Nanos. This is back in high school. And I downloaded it onto my iPod Nano, and I watched that every single day, second semester of senior year.
It was Batmania back then.
Yeah, dude. It was the hottest thing as far as the movies are concerned. And then what also came out that year is Tropic Thunder, which I don't think gets enough credit because it's still funny as hell to this day. It was funny when it came out, and very similar to Robert Downey Jr., if you've noticed, there's an upswing in Hollywood right now with a certain guy by the name of Josh Brolin.
Right.
Because Josh Brolin has had one hell of a summer, because I'm going to go see Sicario probably later on this week. But all
right, enough about what we're seeing. All right.
All right.
I want to hear about you, sir.
I'm sorry.
Tell me a little something about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Mainly Germany.
Really?
Yeah. Army brat, bro.
Oh, okay. What was that like, man?
Germany is honestly like, okay, first of all, it's kind of like an apologetic, but like not in a bad way, but like at this point in time, like the apology is when you say congratulations, but the person just turns out to be a fat individual type deal where you're just like, oh, sorry. Not the full-blown Canadian, oh, is that your wife? Oh, it's your husband, I'm sorry. A type of sorry. Instead, that's the full-blown Canadian sorry. But Germany is the, ooh, our bad type of sorry still, which is okay, because it was a horrible, horrible tragedy back in the 40s. But there's a good thing about it growing up there is because all the people are really nice.
Right.
And it's very village-oriented.
Okay.
Where I grew up, there was a butcher, there was a baker, there was a candlestick maker, and all that good stuff. But no, there actually was a butcher, there was a baker, and there was a local bike shop, a local taxi, a local movie rental place, a local mini mart. Like it was all a very small, well-knit community. Like we were in the military housing, but the people that lived around us were all locals. And outside of one incident that I remember growing up, because we got a basketball hoop because Space Jam came out, and if you were
all right, go on.
under a certain age, you thought you were Michael Jordan, man, so you might as well go ahead and get the hoop. Me and my older brother convinced my parents to get it. And there was a circus in town, and they were a Romanian circus, and my mom, like, woke us up at, like, 3:30 in the morning. She was like, get up. I was like, what's up? She's like, I need you guys to look out the window and keep an eye on the basketball hoop. Somebody just tried to steal it. And I was like, all right, cool. So we both woke up. We looked at the window. We're keeping an eye on it. She was like, you guys see it still? I'm calling your dad because my dad was on duty.
Okay.
And he comes back into the house, and there was there was about, I want to say 30-gallon tank on the back of the basketball hoop to avoid people from just lifting it. You had to empty the water out in order to take it, and you couldn't unscrew it from the base.
Okay.
It was pretty well engineered back in the day. This was also back when Super Soakers weren't lame, and they sold GI Joes in toy stores. They don't sell GI Joes anymore. We'll get back to that in a second. The great thing about this type of neighborhood is that everyone watched out for each other, and our neighbor told us, she was like, yeah, these guys were emptying out the water and they're trying to lift it, and Matt came out, and it's her husband. He came out, and funnily enough, because we had a Matt, a Matthew, a Mike, and a Morgan all in the same block, and my dad's name's Craig, so it's just kind of like to call Mr. M. Which one? No, this is the young tender age of 7. So it's 7 or 8 actually. Because I remember doing kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade in Germany, and then I did 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th in Virginia.
All right.
And it was interesting splitting the difference between the two because I don't really remember much.
You know what I think is messed up about German people?
What?
When I was in Germany, I was in a Burger King, and I saw people eating nothing but hot dogs, man. Now that is messed up. That is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. And like Europe, it's like, oh man, Europe is like known for some of the best food ever. But like, I don't know what there is to eat in Germany. I'm just passing through, so I go to a Burger King, and there's just people eating hot dogs everywhere.
That's just like the worst experience you can hope for. Is you just walk in. Well, no, okay, so here's how Germany works with fast food, by the way. They have a measuring line on all of their cups,
right?
That they fill the line to. They don't give you like here in America where you can fill to the brim. No, they have a little line that they mark it, and they go, "Yep, that's all you're getting."
Oh, that.
And they serve beer in McDonald's.
See, this is the reason that tyrants come from Germany. I think the reason for Hitler is because they put a line on people's fucking drinking cups.
Soft serve beverages.
Like, how is this a way to
deter drink theft? I think is what it is.
Drink theft. Yeah. People go in with like gallon jugs into the fast food places in America and just fill up, man. Is there like that little of sugar
Have you ever
in
owned
Germany?
Have you ever bought a big
Because that's all that's in those machines is syrup and sugar.
This
man.
is a really important
It's
question to tell what kind of person an individual is. Have you ever bought a Big Gulp cup, permanent one, or just the temporary Big Gulp cup that you can throw out at some point in time?
I'm probably both at some point.
I dig it, man. That's okay because like if you're both, you're like me. But if like it's either you're a conservative or a moderate, in that, or
No, here's the thing: you go in there, you see like something cool, like the Han Solo, it's like the Han Solo movie, and then I saw one of those with Lando on it, or like a Donald Glover Lando. I'd be like, all right, this is pretty fucking badass, and then I'd buy it, and fill it up.
Did you see the Solo movie?
Fill it up, and then I would save it.
Did you see that movie?
It's a cool collector's cup.
Did you see the movie?
I haven't seen the movie, but I didn't do that at a 7-Eleven, but I did get a cup like that at a Denny's. They had like Han Solo cups at Denny's.
I can say this about that movie. Donald Glover was definitely the best part of that movie. He was.
Yeah.
You could just have so much fun. You could tell he'd been preparing for this.
Is he kind of like acting like Billy D. Willie? Like he's got the role like down?
He hits the perfect like middle of the road between being himself and being Billy D. Williams, but he's also because he's a cool cat.
You know what? I watched an SNL skit with Donald Glover, and oh my god, it's on YouTube, and he's like a consultant for Barbie, like the Barbie company, and they're like Kenan Thompson's like pitching a Barbie Instagram, right? He's like showing them like the pictures of what they want on the Barbie Instagram, and like Donald Glover's just saying like all this morbid shit, like the caption she read, Barbie is it just saw like a little girl is like reminiscing about a girl getting killed that she saw in front of her house.
You ever seen his show Atlanta?
Atlanta?
Yeah.
I love Atlanta. You know what? I think about Donald Glover. The reason I like him so much is because he rode the Hollywood roller coaster. Held on to his money. And then got to do what he wanted creatively, which is what everybody wants to do. You know what I mean?
I love his little pop-ups and stuff because like I loved his character in The Martian. Like people don't remember that, but like he played one of the most interesting. Because Matt Damon is the mainstay of that movie, but it's basically Castaway in space. Okay, Let's be real here. And the great thing about Castaway was that there was no association from help from anywhere else. Is that it was Tom Hanks was kind of screwed and he had to make it out of the situation.
Right.
The Martian is different because he's getting help from Earth because he's able to communicate with them via satellite imagery.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the movie.
I've only watched like half of The Martian. I was like, I don't know, for some reason I was drinking a lot when The Martian came out.
Donald Glover plays a rocket scientist and he plays a convincing one, which is really difficult to nail because, like, a good example is Matthew McConaughey does not come first in mind to play a lawyer.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen The Lincoln Lawyer, but like he is really good. The movie is not. He is very good in the movie. I like how I said right there because that was sexy. Anyways,
I do stuff like that all the time. Creighton.
Whoa!
Don't worry about it. We talk funny sometimes. That's why this is a comedy podcast.
Sometimes
this isn't an intellectual smart guy podcast. It's comedy. Woo!
Right on.
Anyways, we got 5 more minutes. Is there anything you want to plug? You got any shows coming up?
I am in that weird, awkward stage of being a starting off comedian, so I've started doing mics, and I've spoken to a couple of hosts about possibly doing some shows, but that is with practice. So I'm hitting up.
I think this guy's been practicing, and he's got. So you just gotta.
I gotta try.
Be seen.
Yeah.
You gotta be seen by all the right faces, and known in all the right places.
That's fair. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's a popularity contest.
Well, we're going out to N2 Wine Bar right after this.
You gotta be
this
good.
Guys, getting on stage at N2 Wine Bar.
You have to kick ass and take names.
And I think Nadeem will probably put you on a show.
Nadeem
Awad. I gotta say, if you have not been to one of this is a guy. He's a great South Florida comic.
He's hysterical.
And if you have not been to one of his shows, please get yourself out there. Go to one of his shows. Nadeem Awad.
Dude's pretty funny. No, I'm just hitting up some mics right now, man, and I should probably see if I can get myself booked for something here in the future. However, it's been a joy talking to you. It's been a lot of fun. This is kind of like high-fiving after sex. I don't know if we should do it or not, but anyways.
Ooh. That sounds awful.
That's probably one of the most awkward moves.
I had to say, I would never be in a devil's threesome with you, sir.
That's fair.
I mean, I would probably never be in a devil's threesome, period. But you are definitely
I've never ever been more glad to hear something in my entire life. Thank you for that, Matt.
Of guys that
I also am not interested in having a devil's threesome with you. If you're so interested, thank you. However. Speaking of threesomes, threesomes are an interesting thing because here's the rule of threesomes. Speaking of, I'm going to leave you a little bit of knowledge, right? We're going to sign off on this. You can't do it with someone you're dating. It's just not a good idea.
No?
No, it's just not
a
good
idea.
Of course not. No. See,
I don't know the devil's threesome etiquette because I wouldn't do it at all. Like, I'm
talking about two other participants of a different sex.
Thing. We've all been to college.
A regular threesome.
You were in college at some point, right?
A regular threesome.
And there's at some point in college you decide. Like, yes, I would be down for a threesome with two chicks, but never with two dudes.
Right, no. I'm definitely gonna have to say, yeah, no, I've done the 2-for-1, but I've never done the double up on this occasion, thankfully, and I never will. But I appreciate the fact that you put me so low on the list because that takes a lot of.
You're high on the list of people that are on the 1,000 Comics podcast. You were one of the first people on, so you should be proud of yourself, sir.
I am.
You should be very proud of yourself because this is going to be a very prestigious show. It's gonna have a lot of glamour. I didn't write a comedy scene. I usually write comedy sketches for my guests, but I knew you'd be coming in booming with things to talk about, which you were.
Coming in hot, baby.
This is the kind of guy Creighton Bayer is. He comes in and he'll do that interview.
It's just my
He's
brain.
ready.
It's just my brain unplugged. It really is. Like it just, as long as I don't say anything offensive, and hopefully I didn't hurt any feelings out there. No, I'd rather really give a shit either way. What do we do about N2? Do you want to drive, or am I driving? How are we getting there? Are we Ubering?
I thought we were going to both take separate cars, but
we're sangria. We get some sangria.
I don't know. Well, let's go. Thank you for listening to 1,000 Comics podcast, man.
We're out of here. Thank you, guys.
We're out of here.
Matt, it's been a joy.
We're rocking and rolling. We got a show.
We got a show. We got to go. See you later.
It's an open mic, but we'll later.